Hey, what's going on? SirBlackson97 here, back with another deck profile. Today we have the brand new iteration of the Cyberse deck. This has been one of my all-time favorite decks to just use in duels and profile. This is actually the third deck we ever profiled on the channel, so nice little bit of history to this one. So very excited to kick things off and show what brand new things we put into this. Starting off with, as is tradition, the extra deck. Our Link ones are Link Disciple and Linkuriboh. Good to see Linkuriboh is back on the ban list. The bad news, though, is we lost Splash Mage. So the ceiling of the deck with Link climbing is a little bit shorter than before, but we can still get access to stuff like Access Code Talker and Firewall Dragon just fine. It's just at least one or two more cards need to be put in to get to there. So just something to kind of consider in terms of swarming and competitive ability is without Splash Mage, we kind of are at a bit of a disadvantage. But starting off with Link Disciple, just needs a level 4 or lower Cyberse. We can attribute a monster he points to draw a card, and then put a card from hand on the bottom of the deck. Nice way to put our Garnets back in deck and just kind of realign our hand for future plays. Linkuriboh just needs a level 1 monster, doesn't even have to be Cyberse, as a lot of Snake Eyes decks will take advantage of this guy. When opponent's monster declares an attack, we can tribute Kuriboh to change that opponent's monster's attack to 0 until the end of the turn. And if he's in the graveyard as a quick effect, we can tribute a level 1 monster to special summon him back from grave. What's cool is he doesn't banish when he comes back, so you can just constantly recycle your Linkuribohs, either reducing your opponent's attack or just putting him back out onto the field, which is pretty cool. For our Link 2s, we have 2 copies of IP Masquerena, 1 Security Dragon, 1 SP Little Knight, and 1 Update Jammer. We'll start off with IP Masquerena. Just needs 2 non-link monsters. During our opponent's main phase, we get to quick effect Link Summon, using cards we control as material, including her. And if she's used as link material, that link monster is immune to card effect destruction. Nice little bonus there. Security Dragon just needs 2 monsters. Once while face up on the field, if he's co-linked, we can target and bounce back to hand a monster opponent controls. Kind of like a nice little mini version of Firewall, and with the fact that it just needs 2 monsters as its summoning condition, means stuff like tokens can go pretty hard, like Scapegoat into this deck, especially going into stuff like IP Masquerena and Security Dragon. Just kind of helps you link climb even further. SP Little Knight, she's not a Cyberse, but she's kind of just a fill-in for Splash Mage until he eventually returns. 2 effect monsters for her. If she's ever link summoned using a Fusion, Synchro, or Link monster as material, and XCs, we get to target a card on the field or in either grave and banish it, but our monsters cannot attack directly for the rest of the turn. When our opponent activates a card or effect as a quick effect, we can target 2 face-up monsters on the field, including 1 we control, and banish them until the end phase. So a nice little way to mess up with our opponent's field and graveyard, and also mess up with our opponent's field by banishing stuff, and protecting our own as she'll just come back during the end phase, if we choose to banish her. Update Jammer, this guy's pretty underrated, pretty cool. 2 level 2 or higher Cyberse monsters, once per battle during damage calculation. If a Cyberse monster battles, quick effect, we can activate this effect to negate all other effects on the field until the end of the damage step. When we battle, we get to make our opponent apply their original attack and defense for damage calculation, which is nice, just forcing them to reduce down their attack and defense. And if it destroys a monster by battle, we get to burn our opponent for 1,000. If we use Update Jammer as link material, that monster gets to attack twice during each battle phase this turn. So, combined with IP Masquerena, there's a nice little combo in which you can just make a 4300 Access Code Talker and then swing twice for game. So a nice little game closer that way. So, definitely want to pair those 2 together whenever you can. They absolutely go hand in hand in terms of just ability to close out games. For our Link 3s, we have 1 X-Code Talker, 1 Transcode Talker, 1 D-Code Talker, just kidding, it's Dark Templar at Ignister, and Fire Phoenix at Ignister. These 2 you can sub in for other code talkers, but I kind of want to show off some more Ignisters in this profile, so that's kind of why they're here. But feel free to sub in like D-Code, Heat Soul, or Power Code for Phoenix, or any of the D-Code Talkers or Dark Attribute Code Talkers that you want to splash in. We'll start off with X-Code. 2 or more Cyberse monsters. If he's link summoned, you get to choose unused main monster zones that are equal to the number of monsters currently in those extra monster zones. Those main monster zones cannot be used while X-Code is face up on the field. So a nice little Ojama zone lockout. And monsters he points to gain 500 attack and cannot be destroyed by card effects. Nice little combo you can do if you get him to co-link with Transcode Talker. 2 more effect monsters. While he's co-linked, It and its co-linked monsters gave 500 attack and cannot be targeted by card effects. So a nice little way to protect your full field. Especially nice if you give X code and summon him using IP Masquerena. You're pretty much immune to card effects and immune to targeting by card effects. Destruction or otherwise. So very nice abilities there. What's also cool is once per turn we can target a Link 3 or lower Cyberse Link in the grave. Special summon it to a zone transcode points to, and then get locked into Cyberse monsters for the rest of the turn. And something worth noting is that you can pretty much get into SP Little Knight whenever you want, but as soon as you get the Cyberse lock, she's kind of off limit. So just something to consider and take in consideration as you're making your plays. Sometimes SP Little Knight will not always be accessible. Dark Templar at Ignister, 3 monsters with different names. If a monster is special summoned to a zone he points to, you get to special summon as many level 4 or lower Ignister monsters from the graveyard as possible. 2 zones he points to, their effects are negated though. When it destroys opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon a Cyberse from the graveyard. It's a nice little way to incur his swarming ability. And it's pretty nice if you grab like a backup and wizard Ignister, you can immediately just use those for a level 7 synchro as well. So he's constantly just fueling your field. Pretty nice card. Fire Phoenix, again, this one you can just sub out for Heat Soul primarily, but still pretty cool because he's a Phoenix. 2 or more Cyberse monsters, similar to X code. During damage calculation, if he attacks, you can just burn your opponent equal to his attack, but your opponent takes no battle damage during that battle. And if it's destroyed by card effect, you can destroy a monster your opponent controls, non-targeting, which is cool. And during the next standby phase, after this Link Summon card was destroyed and sent to the grave, you can special summon him back. So nice little Nethys effects, just basically punishing your opponent for using card effects to remove him, and also just the ability to revive and reoccur himself, which is pretty cool. Our 2 Link 4s are Firewall Dragon and Access Code Talker. Firewall just needs 2 or more monsters, so again, a lot of your tokens and just super generic or normal stuff can easily make him. Once while face up on the field as a quick effect, target monsters on the field and or graveyard, up to the number of monsters co-linked to Firewall, and bounce them back to the hand. You can choose your stuff and your opponent's. So this is basically an upgraded form of Security Dragon. And if a monster this card points to is ever destroyed by battle or just sent to the grave, you can special summon a Cyberse monster from the hand. So a nice little way to revive and continue swarming the field, on top of just being able to quick effect bounce stuff back, which is very nice. Access Code Talker, this is basically our game ender. 2 or more effect monsters. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to Access Code's effect activations. If he's ever Link summoned, you get to target a Link monster that was used as material, and it gains 1,000 attack for every Link rating it had. So if you use a Link 2, you get 2k. And if you use something like Transcode Talker, you get 3k off of that. So you can really rack up attack. Especially nice if you use, again, Update Jammer. That's 2 attacks you can make there. But what's also cool is you can banish a Link monster from field or grave to destroy a card your opponent controls. Again, similar to Fire Phoenix, this is non-targeting, and it now gets to destroy cards. We can continue to use this effect as long as we banish different attributes. So as long as pretty much have at least 5 attributes we're using in this deck: Fire through Phoenix, Earth through Transcode, Wind through Update Jammer and Xcode. A lot of dark cards using stuff like SP Little Knight, IP Masquerena, and a lot of light attributes using stuff like Security Dragon. So you have plenty of attributes to banish out, just so you can clear out the field. So definitely consider running this guy as much as you can. Our Link 5 is Allied Code Talker at Ignister. 3 or more effect monsters. If he's ever Link summoned, special summon as many Cyberse monsters with 2,300 attack, specifically from your graveyard as possible to zones Allied Code points to. And if you do, he gains 500 attack for each one revived, but we cannot special summon at all for the rest of the turn. So this guy is pretty much your final play or final monster you'll summon. When our opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, tribute a Link monster he points to negate and banish that card, which is pretty nice little defensive ability. Whereas Access Code's more of a game ender, this guy is more of a defensive card. So pairing those two together can really stop your opponent and just push for game easy. And then finally, last card in the extra deck, we have Firewall Saber Dragon. Pretty generic level 7 synchro. If he's ever synchro summoned, you can recover a Cyberse monster from the graveyard or banishment back to hand. We can also target a Cyberse monster that has a level other than this guy, and this card permanently becomes that monster's level. So it kind of helps out with rituals or Xyz plays. If If he's ever sent to the graveyard as link material, we get to add an I spell from deck to hand. Pretty nice little utility there, easy to revive off of Allied Code Talker, plus he's a Firewall Dragon, therefore he is the coolest card ever. Moving on to the main deck, so this is how we're going to swarm and make our plays and get into those links. 2 copies of Link Slayer, this is basically our opener. If we control no monsters, it's a free special summon. And we can also discard up to 2 cards to target and destroy that many spells and traps on the field. So nice little back row clearing, in addition to just being a free level 5. Next we have 3 copies of Backup Secretary. You can honestly just push her down to 2, but I like seeing her as often as possible. If we control a Cyberse monster, including another copy of herself, she's a free special summon. So you could easily just put one on the field, special summon another, and then go into a Link 2 or a Rank 3 off of that. But again, considering Cyanide Mining and all the other searching cards, you don't really need to max out on her if you don't want to. Up next, we have 2 copies of Bouncer Lord. Once per turn, we get to pay 1,000 life points for an additional normal summon of a Cyberse. And if he's ever banished, we get to special summon a level 4 or lower monster from hand. Doesn't need to be Cyberse, so that does allow us to get a little bit more variety in our main deck as well. But if you want to just go all in on these Cyberse, you get that additional normal and can special summon more cards as long as you're banishing. So good gold sarcophagus target if you want to run that as well. 2 copies Clock Wyvern. If he's ever normal or special summoned, have its attack to make a clock token, which is a Wind Cyberse level 1 with 0 attack and defense. So that means that token can be used as Linkuriboh. Nice little Link 2 enabler. Basically just put them on the field, make your token, go into Linkuriboh, go into a Link 2, and continue your plays from there. Again, this would also be an ideal target to go into Splash Mage, but once he comes back from the ban list, that's just something you can take into consideration. Next, we have 1 copy of Dotscaper. If you've ever sent to the graveyard, it's a free special summon. If he's ever banished, it's a free special summon. We can only use 1 Dotscaper effect per turn, and each effect we do use is once per duel. So just something to take consideration. If you ever revive him from the grave, you can revive him if he gets banished that same turn. But Foolish Burial, 1 for 1, Gold Sarcophagus. Anytime you can put him into a zone that is in the main monster zone, he'll come back. This is pretty nice. So nice little combo. Unfortunately, with Splash Mage gone, the 1 card access code is gone, but we just need to include 1 more monster alongside him in order to get to access code. But you can dedicate your normal summon, go into Linkuriboh, he comes back, go into a Link 2, put 1 more monster on the field, climb into transcode, revive that Link 2, and then go into access code from there. So 2 card access code combo, but still you can easily make it with other cards as well in combos. So it's not really tied down solely to Dotscaper. Our other level 1 in the main deck is 2 copies of Microcoder. If a Cyberse monster we control will be used as link material for a Code Talker monster, Microcoder in the hand can also be used as material, hand or field. If he's ever sent to the graveyard as for a link summon of a Code Talker, we get to add a Signet Spell or Trap from deck to hand. And if we use them specifically on the field, we can also just grab a level 4 Cyberse monster from hand. It has to be exactly level 4. Unfortunately, it's not a level 4 or lower, but we're also running Cyanide Mining, so that kind of fills in the gaps there. D-Grade Buster is up next. Can't be normal summoned or set. We have to first special summon him by banishing 2 Cyberse from the graveyard. We have to target a monster opponent controls with higher attack than D-Grade. Quick effect, banish it until the end phase. So it's a nice way to get rid of problematic monsters, while him and access code clean up and finish out the duel. Also just a pretty nice level 7, so as long as you're filling up your graveyard with Cyberse, you can easily get him out into the field, get a level 1 tuner, and go into a level 8 synchro from there. Like one of the math mechs or something like that. So he does have a lot of applications. He's more than just a big monster that you can put onto the field. Speaking of big monsters, although temporarily, we have full playset of Parallel Exceed. You can bump this down to 2 copies if you want, but I prefer maxing out these days. If it's ever special summoned by the effect of Parallel Exceed, its level becomes 4, its original attack and defense become halved. And if you link summon, you get to special summon Parallel Exceed to a zone it points to. And if it's ever normal or special summon, you can just grab another Parallel Exceed straight from your deck. So again, some of these extra copies can be garnets. That's why stuff like Link Disciple is nice. Just putting stuff on the bottom of the deck so you can make use of those other Parallel Exceeds. And it's just a nice little rank 4 enabler. Good for trap tricks as well. Or just any rank 4 focused deck in general. It's just an easy summon and then you can make your XCs based on that, or additional links if you want to go that route. Next up, we got Flame Buffalo. If this face-up card ever leaves the field, discard a Cyberse monster to then draw 2 cards. Nice little combo, which you can use with Signet Backdoor. Banish Buffalo, get your search off. Since he left the field, you pitch a Cyberse to then draw 2, and then the next turn he comes back and you can just get rid of him again. So plenty of combos. As long as he hits the field and then disappears for some reason, you can easily get that discard 1 Cyberse for a draw 2. Good target off of Firewall Dragon as well, if you just want to keep recycling him. Link Infraflyer. Similar to Parallel Exceed, it's just a free special summon to an open link zone that a link monster points to. There's no additional swarming based on that, but you don't have to necessarily link summon that monster. You just need an open zone that you can summon to, which is pretty cool. For the Ignister engine of the deck, we have 3 copies, backup Ignister, 1 copy Wizard Ignister, 1 copy Linkslayer Ignister. We'll start with backup. If you control a Cyberse monster, special summon from the extra deck, she's a free special summon from hand. If she's ever normal or special summon, you get to add a Dark Cyberse from deck to hand, except for herself, and then discard 1 card. It's a nice little searcher. Typically, you'll be grabbing Wizard Ignister, but you can also grab Linkslayer if you want. Wizard, same summoning condition as backup with a Cyberse that was special summoned from the extra deck. What we can also do is target a Dark Cyberse monster in the graveyard, special summon both him and the monster from the graveyard in defense position, and then get locked into Cyberse monsters. We can also banish it from field or grave to target and change a battle position of a monster our opponent controls. So as long as backup's in the grave, and we have a Cyberse special summon from the extra deck, Wizard will just grab both of them. We can go into a Link 2, or go into the level 7 Firewall Saber that way. Linkslayer, similar conditions as Microcoder. If a Cyberse monster we control will be used as link material for an Ignister monster, this card in the hand can be used as material as well. If he's ever sent to the graveyard as link material, discard a card to target and destroy a spell or trap on the field. Well, we can target 2 if we use Linkslayer from the field as link material. So similar to Microcoder, depending where he's at, can change up his effects, but similar to the OG Linkslayer, he's just clearing out spells and traps. Speaking of spells and traps, moving on to our back row, we have full playset of Signet Mining. Absolutely max out on this if you can. Send a card from hand to grave to add a level 4 lower Cyberse from deck to hand. It's our reinforcement of the army card. Pretty much gives us access to all of our lower levels in our main deck. Backup Ignister, Wizard if we didn't get that search off. Balancer Lord, Backup Secretary, Dotscaper even, so the world is your oyster as long as you have the ability to search out. Other 2 Signet cards are Signet Codec and Signet Backdoor. Codec, if we ever special summon a Code Talker monster from the extra deck to our field, we can target one of those monsters, add a Cyberse monster with the same attribute from deck to hand, and we cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except for Cyberse. So similar to stuff like Transcode and Wizard, this also gives us our Cyberse lock. We cannot add other monsters with the same attribute from hand when we use the effect of Signet Codec this turn. So similar to Access Code, as long as there are different attributes moving around, we can get different searches off. Signet Backdoor, target and banish a Cyberse you control. If you do, add a Cyberse monster from deck to hand whose attack is lower than the banished monster's original attack, and during your next standby phase, return that monster banished by this effect to your field. It gets to attack directly this turn. So if you want to protect your big link monsters, this is a nice little protection. Let you attack directly. But typically you'll use this with Flame Buffalo, get rid of Buffalo, discard for 2 Cyberse, discard the Cyberse for the draw 2, and also get a search off through Backdoor. So nice little shenanigans there. Plus when you get your Buffalo back, you get to attack directly. As mentioned with Firewall Saber Dragon, we get a nice little eye spell search. So let's take a look at 2 copies of Connect, 1 copy of Miku, and 1 of You and I just really like that all of these are kind of funny little puns. We'll start with Eye Connect. Similar to Signet Mining, this is a nice little searcher. Reveal a Cyberse monster in the hand to apply this effect based on its attribute. This locks us into Cyberse. If we reveal Dark, we special summon the revealed monster and then add a level 4 lower non-Dark Cyberse from deck to hand. If we revealed any other attribute, we shuffle the revealed monster into the deck to add an Ignister monster with a different attribute from deck to hand. So basically, reveal backup Ignister, special summon her and grab a search, and if we don't, search for her, and then continue our plays from there. I Meet You, reveal a Cyberse monster with 2300 attack from hand or extra deck, add an Ignister monster with the same attribute from deck to hand, and during the end phase, take 2300 damage if you did not special summon the revealed monster in question, or a monster with the same name at least, after I Meet You resolves. This also locks us into Cyberse monsters, as is tradition. Again, this is just to get you reveal, Dark Templar, or access code, and then get access to backup Ignister. You and I, pretty much a Ignister version of Cynet Codec. The Cyberse monster with 2300 original attack is special summoned. Activate any of these effects based on the attribute. Earth and Water have the attack of a monster on the field until the end phase. Wind and Light negate the effects of a face-up card on the field until the end phase. And Fire and Dark special summon an Ignister token, a Dark level 1 Cyberse with 0 attack and defense to our field. So again, that makes Linkuriboh, and that just gives us more materials. But basically, like Cynet Codec, you're just able to get different effects off based on what you're putting on the field. Instead of Code Talkers, it's just monsters with 2300 original attack. I mentioned tokens a lot, so let's take a look at some token generators. 2 one-time passcode, 2 copies of Scapegoat. One-time passcode special summons a security token, level 4 light Cyberse with 2000 attack and defense position. And Scapegoat puts 4 sheep tokens, level 1 Earth Beast with 0 attack and defense position. They cannot be attributed for a tribute summon, and we cannot summon other monsters the turn, but we can normal summon or set. Or, excuse me, just normal set, that is. This is something you activate during your opponent's end phase, put out all of your 4 tokens, and then you use 2 for IP Masquerena, 2 for Security Dragon, and then go into access code. That gives you an access code just based on 1 card, that being your Scapegoat, and it gets you there in 3 summons so you can play around Nibiru if you think your opponent has it. So it's a nice little strategy you can do there. If you want to risk it for 5 summons, you can go into transcode using IP Masquerena and Security Dragon, revive the IP Masquerena, and then go into access code that way. Gives access code 5300 attack using transcode, but does leave you vulnerable to Nibiru that way. So little risk, little reward, but if you just want to play it safe and go into your game ender, go into Security and Masquerena off of your goats, and then from there go into access code talker. To counter hand traps, we're playing a full playset of Salesban. Declare a card name for the rest of the turn. Our opponent cannot activate cards or effects of cards with the same name as that declared card. The restrictions apply to us, but for the rest of the duel instead of the turn. So if we're really worried about that Nibiru or Ash Blossom, use Salesban, but just know for the rest of the duel, we cannot use those cards at all. Just something to kind of play around defensively. Crossout Designator and Call by the Grave also work in position of him, but he's just a really nice underrated card that lets you just basically protect yourself for the turn if you know a specific hand trap might be coming after you. And then finally, closing things out is Pot of Prosperity. Banish 3 or 6 cards of our choice from the extra deck face down. For the rest of the turn after it resolves, our opponent takes half damage, effect or battle. And depending on how many cards we banish, we get to excavate that number of cards from the top of the deck. We choose 1 to add to the hand, and then the rest get put onto the bottom of the deck in any order. So it's a nice way to just get to our playmakers and just sort of extenders or openers. And for the rest of the turn, we cannot draw cards by card effect. So if we do excavate the Flame Buffalo, we cannot use the draw effect of Flame Buffalo. So that's just something to consider based on if we do that. Whew! I think that's enough link summoning and Cyberse for one day. That'll do it for today's deck profile. Thank you all for watching, for sticking around since the beginning. Do appreciate it, as obviously this is the 3rd iteration of the deck, so we've come a long way since the early days of just running Splash Mage and jumping into Access Code Talker. There's a lot more we can do this time, so very cool to see. In any case, I've been Sir Blackson97. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next time.